Well, there seems to be no end to former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's many troubles. In the latest turn of events, an Islamabad trial court has declared Khan guilty of corrupt practices in the Toshakhana gifts case. Khan was arrested moments after the Islamabad District and Sessions Court announced the guilty verdict. The court, in its verdict, said that Khan has been found guilty of corrupt practices and handed the PTI chairman a 3-year jail sentence. Additionally, the court imposed a fine amounting to 1 lakh Pakistani rupees. The court also declared the former Prime Minister ineligible to hold public office for 5 years. However, this is not the only case against Imran Khan. He also faces at least 3 graft cases. These include accusations from the National Accountability Bureau that he accepted millions of dollars worth of property in exchange for providing benefits to a real estate tycoon. A new terrorism charge was also filed against him for allegedly inciting his followers to violence after his May arrest.
I want to specifically thank Prime Minister. The way Prime Minister spoke about.
Let's talk more about this, and our Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik is joining us live from Islamabad. Anas Malik, good to see you. This is breaking news coming from Pakistan at this moment. Apart from this conviction, what does the order say against Imran Khan?
Largely, I was inside the court, and largely the order or the mood of the judge was that since his lawyers did not come on time, despite of being given thrice the opportunity to present their arguments with regards to the maintainability of the case, therefore, and in previous times the same judge had already heard the case as well. Therefore, Imran Khan is found guilty of corrupt practices by not declaring the proceeds and by not declaring the fact that he had sold the gifts from the national repository which he had gotten as a consequence of him being, or as a result of him being, the Prime Minister. The properties were the ownership of the state and not of the individual. Now, amidst that, he has been sentenced to 3 years of jail time or prison time and 100,000 Pakistani rupees under fine as well. The judge, Humayun Tilawar, the trial court judge Humayun Tilawar, has also stated that in case of Imran Khan not being able to pay the fine, that then his conviction will be prolonged by another 6 months. So that means, by implication of the judgment, the Pakistani law is very clear that if you are convicted even for 1 or 5 seconds, and we have a precedent where a sitting Prime Minister was convicted for a total of 32 seconds until the rising of that court, he was disqualified. Yusuf Raza Gilani was disqualified in January 2012. Now, by implication of the judgment, Imran Khan stands disqualified to run or hold any public office for the next 5 years. Now, not just that, additionally, technically speaking, he is also disqualified from running his own party and being a chair or at a constitutional position within the party. That is what the technicality is. Imran Khan, a short while back, was arrested from his Lahore residence from Zaman Park, and right now he has been moved to the Court Lakhpat jail in Lahore, from where he will be brought to Islamabad because the conviction is by an Islamabad court. His party has rejected the judgment, saying that this is with prejudice and bias of the judge, and that they will be challenging the judgment before the higher judiciary. And with that, just as I talk to you, sources tell me that his legal team has already reached the Supreme Court in order to get their petition and a bail plea and a petition seeking quashment of the judgment and annulment of the judgment before the Supreme Court to be heard. Eric?
Anas Malik, we've been talking about the possibilities of the former Prime Minister Imran Khan being arrested and what would happen in Pakistan. Now that you've elaborated that, can you now elaborate to our viewers what is the Toshakhana case, or what is entailed in this case, and why it went on for so long?
I'll first come to the first part of the question. What happens in case Imran Khan is arrested? Last time, on the 9th of May when he was arrested, we saw widespread protest and violent protest as well, where his protesters broke into military cantonments, and as a consequence to that, they continue to face charges as well. They have been arrested, and there was a wide-ranging crackdown on the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, literally to dismember them from its own actual party structure. And we saw that a lot of PTI leaders had jumped ship. This time, I think the circumstances have changed, so not many people would be taking to the streets, keeping in mind what happened the last time. Now, to the last part of your question, what is the Toshakhana case? The Toshakhana case first came to light last year in November when the Prime Minister revealed that Imran Khan had sold off the gifts that he had received as the Prime Minister in an open market, and that was against the rules. Now, that case was filed in December, and since then it had been ongoing. Imran Khan had maintained that it was his gift, and it was up to him whether he sold them or breaks them, and the state had nothing to do with it. But the problem was that the mannerism in which these gifts were sold, they were undervalued by the cabinet division, and then first they were sold, and the money by selling them, and only then they were bought by the cabinet division, from the cabinet division rather. So that was the corrupt practice that was referred to. The case went on. Imran Khan kept on denying it, only up until this past Tuesday, where he maintained that the military secretary, his own military secretary, who is now a major general, should be summoned. But when he gave the list of defense witnesses to be called in for cross examination, that had expunged the name of the former military secretary. Right. Imran Khan had also tried to conveniently put the blame or shift the blame on his tax lawyer, saying that the filings are done by his tax lawyer, so therefore he is not responsible in case if there is an ambiguity. Today, the judge has, because he had failed to prove the ground that there was no criminal intent or malpractice or corrupt intent that was not involved, and therefore, as a consequence to that, the judge WION has issued the verdict, and he has sentenced Imran Khan for 3 years in prison. Eric?
All right. That is our Pakistan Bureau Chief, Anas Malik. Anas Malik, stay with me because we'll have to talk more about this breaking news in Pakistan. And Barrister Mohammed Ahmed Pansota is an advocate in the Pakistani Supreme Court. He's joining us live from Lahore. Welcome to the show. I will just briefly take you back to 2 days ago, that is Thursday and Friday. On Friday, the former Prime Minister did get a relief from the Pakistani High Court. It set aside a lower court's verdict to uphold the maintainability of the Toshakhana corruption case for criminal proceedings against the former Prime Minister. The Islamabad High Court on Thursday reserved the judgment on multiple petitions against his trial by a district court in the case of sale of state gifts. Barrister, why the change of tune?
Well, you need to understand that at the moment, this conviction is a result and in consequence of the judgment that was passed by Islamabad High Court yesterday. Now, that judgment in itself was not very clear as to its content and what essentially that judgment entailed. In my humble view, I believe that judgment had directed the trial court judge to decide the jurisdiction first and then move on with it. So today, the trial court judge should have decided the jurisdiction and then should have fixed the case for a proper hearing so that lawyers from both sides could have rendered their final arguments. But here, there was a hurry, there was a haste that could have been seen, and, the judgment was passed. The judgment reeks of, I would say, malafide, vengeance. The judgment reeks of whatnot, but this judgment has several loopholes, legal loopholes, which I believe will be corrected once it goes into appeal. At the moment, the legal team has filed an appeal before the Honorable Supreme Court of Pakistan, and Supreme Court will examine that the Islamabad High Court judgment, when it had categorically said that the jurisdiction has to be first decided, how on the earth was it possible that after deciding the jurisdiction, same day final arguments were ended and the person was convicted, even without allowing him to render his defense in his favor, which is Section 342 CRPC. That's a fundamental right. So this is clearly a violation of Article 10A of the Constitution of Pakistan, which provides every accused person guarantees, in fact, fair trial and due process of law. So I believe the judgment is wrong and illegal, and I believe unconstitutional on several legal grounds. So in the days to come, you will see that the judgment will not be able to sustain. That's my view on the judgment.
Mohammed, I'm still on you. How big of a trouble is this for the former Pakistan Prime Minister?
Well, the trouble has to be seen on both counts. Firstly, the political count and then the legal count. As far as the political count is concerned, I believe a political person, whenever he is arrested, especially in a politically motivated case, and that too on an issue as basic as the best declaration, where the jurisprudence has been very, very clear now, I believe it always helps him. And that has helped all the ex-prime ministers in the past. You can see the example of Nawaz Sharif, then Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Shaheed, and then several other prime ministers who were arrested. So on the political front, it will be very favoring him. As far as the legal front is concerned, of course, there are a few days that he has to spend behind bars. But once it is taken up for hearing before the Supreme Court or the Islamabad High Court, I believe the judgment will be suspended, because there is a provision in the Criminal Procedure Code, which is Section 426, during the pendency of the appeal, judgments are usually suspended, especially those judgments where the conviction entails punishment less than 5 years or 5 years. They are usually suspended on the very first date of hearing. So I don't see this carrying forward for a long period of time. But yes, for the next 3 or 4 days or maybe a week, the ex-prime minister has to stay behind bars.
All right, Mohammed, stay with me. Let's go back to our Pakistan Bureau Chief, Anas Malik. How do you look at the timing of this judgment as it comes just ahead of the elections?
The timing of the judgment is definitely questionable. It will be seen in light that it is to do with that balancing act that the opposition had been referring to, in an apparent reference to Imran Khan being disqualified as an equalizer to Nawaz Sharif being disqualified. But I would just like to toss across to our guest and try to understand one thing, because I was in the court today and at least 3 opportunities were given to Imran Khan's defense team. Mr. Pansota has been a part of Imran Khan's legal team as well. Yesterday when the judgment of the Islamabad High Court came in, Eric, and our esteemed guest can correct me here, the Islamabad High Court judgment had explicitly said that the same judge will be hearing the case and he will be determining the maintainability, notwithstanding the fact that the same judge had already determined the maintainability. So that somewhat calls on the bias or travesty of justice. But with that, the Islamabad High Court had also explicitly said that the trial court will be determining and the same judge will be determining, and that it should not go no longer than today. Today at 8:30 is when the trial began. Khwaja Haris, Imran Khan's lead lawyer, was not there. At 8:30 when the trial began, I was inside the court. The judge came in, he said the PTI legal team is not here. Okay, we'll give them the first opportunity and we will reconvene at 9:30 a.m. Pakistan time. At 9:30 a.m. the judge came back. He again saw that the lead lawyer, Khwaja Haris Sahab, was not there. He again said, okay, I'll give them a second opportunity and we'll reconvene at 10:30. Then at 10:30 he comes back. Again, I was inside the court. He comes back and he says, Khwaja Haris Sahab is not there. A junior lawyer stands up and says that he is busy in another court, to which the election commission lawyer objects and says that the other court that they are referring to begins in 4 hours from now. So how can he be busy before a judge or before a court which is yet to get into session? And to which the trial court judge WION Dilawar had sought the details of the exact nature of case where Khwaja Haris, Imran Khan's lead lawyer, was. And the junior lawyer had failed to produce that, to which the judge WION Dilawar gave him a third opportunity and said, fair enough, we'll reconvene at 12 p.m. Pakistan time. Now again at 12 p.m. is when Khwaja Haris did come, but technically he did not argue on the maintainability of the case, and as a consequence to which Judge WION had announced the judgment. Now, very interestingly, having covered the trial, I'm in complete agreement.
Anas Malik, sorry to
I'm in
interject
complete
you.
agreement in what Mr. Pansota had said. Yes.
Sorry to interject you, but
Go ahead, Eric.
I think we need now Mohammed's reaction to these questions that you're raising. Let's just listen from him. What happened in court today, Mohammed?
Well, I think pretty much what happened in court has been narrated by Mr. Malik, and I agree that this is how it happened. But this is now how it happens usually in court. You don't tell a lawyer, or you don't ask the lawyer to appear in 2 hours and then another 2 hours. I would also like to, as a practitioner who's been involved in civil and criminal practice for the last 21 years, I've never seen that happen. What was the haste? What was the urgency? Just because they knew that the holidays or the vacations are about to begin? So that is what needs to be understood. When I raised the question regarding Article 10A, this is what I essentially mean. And secondly, Islamabad High Court judgment had no doubt said that it will be decided same day. But firstly, when you decide jurisdiction, then you allow them to make the submissions on jurisdiction. This is the case. We need to try to must understand. This is a case where the accused person has not put forth his defense. He was not allowed to lead his defense witnesses. This is a case which, in its entirety, initially began on an authority which never existed for the Election Commission. It was filed 120 days after 120 days period, which was mandated under the law. So there are several loopholes. Just by giving 1 or 2 more days would not have changed the fate of the course. He could have done the same thing maybe 3 days down the lane. But all of these things will haunt the prosecution's case before the appellate court. So this is essentially what I'm saying, that what Mr. Malik said is exactly what had happened and must have happened, since I was not in court. But today, several other things also happened. Mr. Khwaja Haris's, his clerk was picked up, and he was unable to find him maybe 12:30. Secondly, also an important aspect is that lawyers after yesterday had issued a very strong statement that nobody will be appearing before Judge WION Dilawar's court because the gentleman apparently had misbehaved with one of our colleagues. So there were several factors. Just by delaying it 1 or 2 more days to meet the ends of justice or to secure the ends of justice would not have done any harm. Right. It was writing on the wall that this decision had to come. So it would have come maybe another 2 days, so that at least the procedure should have been followed. So let's see what the appellate court says.
So the bigger question here is for both of you, Mohammed and Anas Malik, did Imran Khan see it coming? I'll start with you, Anas Malik.
I'll just hold you and interrupt you for there. We have some breaking news coming in. Okay. Imran Khan has been flown out of Lahore, and we can say that based on sources, he is now being moved to Islamabad, where he will be housed at the Adiala jail. He was taken to the Kot Lakhpat jail, where his initial medical was done. After that, he has been put on a plane. The nature of the plane or the flight is still unknown, but I can confirm that Mr. Khan, the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, has been flown out of Lahore, and he's right now en route to Islamabad. In the next 35 to 50 minutes, we will be seeing his plane arriving in Islamabad, and then he will be taken to the Adiala jail. Now, secondly, in complete agreement with what Mr. Pansota said, I totally agree. The mannerism in which this case was proceeded, it was in haste, and it was evident. The haste and judicial prejudice was quite evident if you are covering the case on day-to-day basis. Now, with that, to answer your question, I think Imran Khan at some point did see it coming. In fact, just late last night, the last YouTube address that he did, he talked about holding a political consensus. Now, this is a sharp change in tone of a person for a person who had been calling on the opposition as thieves, had been saying that it is below his stature to sit down and negotiate and talk to them. He's gotten a change in tone, so clearly he did see it coming. As we speak, there has been no reported protest from any parts of the country, contrary to how it was on the 9th of May. Eric?
Mohammed, over to you. Did Imran Khan see this coming, and what's next? I think everyone is asking and is curious to know what happens next now.
Imran Khan very clearly saw it coming, and that's very, I mean, all his speeches are reflective of that. If you pick up any speech in the last 10, 15 days, he was very clear that they're going to arrest me, and even if they arrest me, I will face it, and I will contest all my cases in court. Now, what up and what's next? That's a very important question. I believe once the appeal is filed and it is taken up for hearing, this will be suspended, because this is a decision, even in the ordinary course of affairs, this cannot sustain in the eyes of law, and it's going to be a test for the appellate court now, which being Islamabad High Court. So let's see what happens. But if it is out of vengeance or politically motivated case, then I see that things are going to get tough for him. But on the merits, this case is a very weak judgment and should be set aside and suspended, to say the least.
All right. So former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has been arrested. He has been arrested in Lahore. He's on his way to Islamabad. I've been talking to barrister Mohammed Ahmad Pansota, who is an advocate in the Pakistan Supreme Court, and also our Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik, for all the very latest. Keep watching WION World.